Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to apologize for starting this important occasion behind schedule. But inshallah, the program will start by now. I would like to acknowledge the presence of all the distinguished invited guests to this important occasion. And I would like to invite the representative of the Chief Imam of Kano, Professor Muhammad Sani Zaharaddin, ably represented by Malam Awal Sani Zaharaddin, to come over here to give us the opening prayer. Thank you, sir.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم صلوا على النبي الكريم بسم الله اللهم أنت أحد الصمد الذي لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد ربنا آتنا لنا نورنا واغفر لنا إنك على كل شيء قدير يا حي يا قيوم يا حي يا قيوم برحمتك نستغيث يا الله سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله.
Thank you very much, the representative of the Chief Imam of Kano. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to recognize in our midst the chief host of this important occasion, the Vice Chancellor of Bayero University, Kano, Professor Haruna Musa, FSI, ably represented by the University Librarian, Dr. Kabir Tahir Abbas. You are welcome, sir. Thank you. I would also like to recognize here in our midst the chairman of the occasion, Professor Sabo Albasu, Northwest University. Thank you, sir. We have our distinguished scholars here. The keynote speaker of this important occasion is Professor Muhammad San Umar from the University of Abuja. You are welcome, sir. I would like to recognize, inadvertently I committed to recognize the His Excellency, the Executive Governor of Kano State, Alhaji Abubakar Yusuf, ably represented by our teacher and mentor, Professor Tijani Muhammad Nania. You are welcome, sir. In our midst, we have our teachers and mentors, distinguished invited guests. We have Professor Salis Shehu here with us, the former Vice Chancellor. This university visitor, at least the Kama University, Ismaila, sorry. And is currently the Executive Secretary, the Nigerian Educational Development Council. This Educational Development Research and Development Council, Professor Sabisi Shehu, Kano, ably represented by Dr. Pedian, Muhammad Didi. We also recognize in our midst the presence of Sheikh Abu Wahab Abdullah, Imam al-Sunnah, ably represented by Sheikh Abu Muttalib Awal. May Allah give Sheikh Abu Wahab Abdullah quick recovery. He has been hospitalized in Egypt, and that is why he's not here with us physically today. We have the Director of State Security Service, Kano Command, heavily represented by Abu Bakr Umar in our case. Okay. And we have Dr. Tijani Garba from Northwest University. And we also have now the Director, Bayero University Health Sciences, Dr. Manir Suleiman. You are welcome, sir. And we also have the Chairman ICPC, heavily represented by Dr. Musa Adamu Aliyu, Commissioner ICPC Kano and Jigawa Scholars. We also have in our midst Sadiq Lawal Abubakar from Noma. Madam Sadiq, welcome. And we have in our midst Sheikh Barrister Habibullah Al-Mahdi, who is presently here with us and who is going to speak as one of the guest of honors on behalf of representing the Tijaniya group, inshallah. We have the GMD Gerawa group, and that Ibrahim Muhammad Gerawa, ably represented by the Deputy Community Director, Sadiq Gerawa, and MD Boyle and Hadi Sofyan Hassan. We have Dr. Abubakar Rabo, Deputy Country Director, Human Rights Commission in our midst. We also have the Deputy Commandant of the Nigerian Security and Civil Transport, Kano Command. We have also in our midst Ambassador Ahmad Rufai Abubakar, CFR, the Salon National. You are welcome, sir. And of course, we have with us our teachers who have made us what we are today, the Department of History, which are now being transformed into Faculty of History and Modern Studies. We have the Chairman of the Organizing Committee, Professor M.D. Suleiman. We have Professor Muhammad Sali Abdelkar here with us. We also have Professor Ahmad Rufai Muhammad, Professor M.D. Suleiman. We have Professor Asma Muhammad Said, other distinguished professors, Professor Aisha, and many more. All our colleagues, here present, you are all welcome. We have other distinguished, scholars from across the universities in Nigeria. Professor Mustafa Muhammad Bodede from Ahmad University in Nigeria. You are welcome, sir. I would like to also welcome the deans, directors, provosts, and people all the professors, senior colleagues in Bayero University and other sister universities, and several higher institutions of learning, you are very welcome to this important occasion. We also have Sheikh Sayyid Bashir here with us, and of course Sheikh Ali Imam, former Deputy Commander Hisba, and now Secretary Jamaat al-Qaeda with Sunnah al-Shata. You are welcome, sirs. Our distinguished lead paper presenters are all here with us. We have Dr. Awal Anwar, we have Professor Mukhtar Umar Buzan, Vice Chancellor Northwest University Sokoto. We have Professor Tijani Muhammad Nania, Professor Asma Garba Said, and Professor Muhammad Aker. These are our lead paper presenters. And of course, we have already mentioned of the keynote speaker, Professor Muhammad Said Umar, from the University of Abuja. Now, I would like to invite the Dean of the Faculty of History and Development Studies, Professor Muhammad Wada, to come and give us a welcome address. Professor Muhammad Wada.
أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان الرجيم والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. The chairman of the occasion, the Vice Chancellor of Bayero University, Professor Haruna Musa, MNI, FSI, ably represented by the University Chief Librarian, the chairman of the occasion, Professor Sabo Albasu, invited guests, respected participants. I respect the existing protocol. It gives me great pleasure to welcome you to this all-important conference. The conference is historic, timely, because it's taking place at a period when the Department of History has been unbundled by the management of Bayero University, Kano, and transformed into the Faculty of History and Development Studies under the College of Humanities. The faculty comprises 4 departments: History, Anthropology, Diplomatic Studies, and Philosophy. The establishment of the faculty is a noble idea for being the first of its kind in Nigeria and perhaps on the African continent. It is also gratifying to know that the conference is also being held at a time when the discipline of history is being rejuvenated and rightly placed in our educational system following the federal government reintroduction of the subjects in our primary and secondary school. Alhamdulillah. The chairman, sir, invited guests and fellow participants, I would not like to bother you with the detail of the important position of the ulama occupy in Muslim society, as well as the myriads of role they play and continue to play in pre-colonial, post-colonial period, especially in the areas of teaching, learning, knowledge production, religion, dispensation of justice and arbitration, trade and commerce, leadership, and many other important human endeavors. Colonialism had indeed created a new set of ulama, just as it tried to emasculate the influence and power they hitherto wielded in terms of politics and governance. Ulama across time and space, particularly Muhammad bin Mani in Kanem Borno, Sheikh Abdul Karim Al Magili, an Algerian scholar who visited Kano and Katsina, Sheikh Usman bin Fodio and his brother Abdullah bin Fodio and son Muhammad Bello of the Sokoto Caliphate, and of course contemporary ulama such as Sheikh Mahmoud Gumi, Sheikh Muhammad Nasir Kabara, Sheikh Moody Salga, to cite a few examples, though regarded as custodian of learning and moral and spiritual ethos, but they have never identified its politics, common aspects, and relevance from many followers who their relation with traditional leaders have given the ulama ample opportunity to respond in variety of ways to the challenges of modernity, voicing an Islamic stance on wide range of issues, ranging from Western education, the banking sectors, contemporary healthcare, policies, politics, and other important matters that affect Muslim life. As we gather here for the conference that has received around 100 abstracts, it is very critical for us to reflect on the significant influence the ulama have exerted and continue to exert in shaping authority, governance, and societal values. It is our ardent hope that the conference will chart a way forward for the Muslim Ummah and humanity through the spirit of robust engagement, sincere dialogue, and honest intellectual discourse. Let me say that the paper presented during the conference will be carefully selected and published into an edited volume. Permit me, Mr. Chairman, to state that this is the pause in the series of events organized in about 2 years of my stewardship as head of Department of History and Pioneer Dean, Faculty of History and Development Studies. A book in honor of our teacher, the late Professor Philip Shea, has been edited by our erudite scholar of economic history, Professor M.S. Abdulkadir et al., published and launched on 21st of July 2024. We also held a globally attended symposium with the title Emirs and Politics in Northern Nigeria, delivered by our versatile scholar, Professor Tijani Muhammad Naria, on the 26th September 2024. Within the same period, the highly respected and widely consulted PhD dissertation on the textile industry, written by late Professor Philip Shea, was once again edited by Professor M.S. Abdulkadir and published in 2024 with the title A History of Kano Emirate Dyeing Industry in the 19th Century. As we navigate the terrain of the newly formed Faculty of History and Development Studies, it is our hope and prayer the above tempo will be sustained. On this note, I wish to express our sincere appreciation to the Vice Chancellor, Professor Haruna Musa, FSSI, for not only the management financial support, but his exemplary leadership and determination to encourage and nurture learning, research, and collaboration in our highly esteemed university. Our appreciation goes to Professor M.A. Okubu for his general and moral support. We also acknowledge and appreciate the financial support from Alhaji Ibrahim M. Girawa, Group Managing Director, Girawa Group of Companies. The distinguished Senator Abdurrahman Kaw Sumaila, Senator representing Kano South in the Senate, and Honorable Kabir Bichi, Chairman House Committee on Appropriation, also deserve our thanks. We sincerely appreciate the presence of the official guests of honor, the Executive Governor of Kano State, Alhaji Abba Kabiru Yusuf, ably represented by our teacher, Professor Mohammed Tijani Nania. The keynote speaker, Professor M.S. Umar, our guest of honor, the former Jigawa State State Governor, His Excellency Alhaji Sule Lamido, who we are expecting to be with us in due course. The former speaker, Professor Muhammad Sani Zaharaddin, Professor Salisu Shehu, the Executive Secretary, Nigeria Educational Research and Development Council, and the Sardauna of Katsina, Ambassador Amir Rufai. We all thank you for gracing this important occasion. We respectfully thank our Sheikh for being here with us. These are Barrister Habibu Dan Almajiri, and representative of Sheikh Abdul Wahab Abdullah, and of course the Secretary of the Idala in Kano, Alhaji Ali Aliu Abubakar, and host of other people that grace this occasion. We remain grateful to the lead paper presenters, Dr. Awal Anwar, Professor Asma'u G. Said, Professor Mukhtar Umar Bunza, Professor Muhammad Kari, and Professor Tijani Muhammad Nania. We thank Professor M.D. Suleiman, the Chairman of LOC, the Secretary, Dr. Junaidu Daladi, and the LOC members for working tirelessly to ensure the conference report a huge success. Finally, we thank all head of departments in the faculty, staff member, our invited participants, and everyone for honoring our invitation. Finally, I want to use this opportunity to announce that the faculty will soon organize more symposiums. At least we are trying to organize 2 symposiums. One on the introduction of teaching of history in Nigerian school, and another on the recent development in Middle East, to be delivered by erudite scholar. Alhamdulillah, thank you very much for listening. Thank you.
Thank you very much, the dean of the faculty, for this welcome address. Next, I would like to invite the chairman of the occasion, Professor Sabah Masood, for his remarks.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. The special guest of honor, His Excellency the Executive Governor of Kano State, who is here represented by Professor Janania, the Vice Chancellor, other distinguished personalities, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum. I am here standing on behalf of the chairman, Professor Mahmoud Yakub, the chairman of INEC, who is unavoidably absent because of some pressing commitments. I'm sure you know, and the fact is demanding, especially at this time. So I'm here to represent him. But let me say, it's a teacher stepping into the shoes of the student. Mahmoud student. I taught him as an undergraduate, and we still have this teacher-student relationship. I'm very, very proud of him. And you know, as how someone says, so I'm happy with this. I'm happy to be here representing my student.
Ladies and gentlemen, this lecture, I would like to recognize, the presence of the former Executive Governor of Ulama State, His Excellency Haji Bayero. You are welcome, sir.
Like I said, I'm making these chairman's remarks on behalf of Professor Amudia. Like I also said, I'm very proud of him, like my other students who are here, very brilliant, and I have to say with pride that I have here like his classmates, who are all my students. Professor Mukhtar Bunza, the Vice Chancellor of Northwest University, Professor M.T. Usman, Professor Aisha Nima Shehu. I'm very proud of them. All of them are my students. The Faculty of History and Development Studies that organizes this program has made a great initiative. This conference is timely, and indeed it has come at the right time when Nigerians and the general public need to know about the role of ulama in politics. So I want to congratulate the faculty for organizing this important conference. Let me also say, the choice of the topic, ulama and politics in Nigeria, historical perspective, is very apt and timely. There is no other time that we need to discuss issues of involvement of ulama in politics than now, when there are a lot of controversies surrounding whether or not ulama should be involved in politics. So I think the choice of the topic is timely. The choice of the speakers is also very timely. The speakers who are billed to speak on this occasion are all highly respected scholars, intellectuals in their fields, who have carried out extensive researches in the areas of their specialization. Dr. Awal Anwar has been a long-time friend and a colleague. He has done extensive research on scholars, the intrigues, the relationship, and all the issues surrounding Muslim scholars. So I'm sure we are going to benefit from his presentation. Professor Bunza is also an expert in the field of Islamic scholarship and learning. And his topic is Ulama in Nigeria, definition, reconciliation, and representation of their roles and status in historical perspective. This is another very thought-provoking topic. Professor Dijanania, let me call him barrister, and his honor, because he's going to talk to us on the area of his interest and specialization. He has done extensive work on Sharia. In fact, he is an acknowledged expert in this area of Sharia, and he's going to talk on the Sharia issue regarding the ulama, comparing traditionalism and modern political activism. Professor Asma'u Garba Said has also been a very active scholar in the field of, especially in the field of Mahadism and other related issues. She is going to speak to us about the relationship that often culminates into relationships that are beyond scholarship. The last but not the least, we have Professor Muhammad Kari from University of Maiduguri, who is also a specialist in the area of ulama and society. So I am sure by the time we listen to this cream of scholars, all of us will benefit from their conversations, and then it will give room for us also to make our contributions. Apart from the topic and the speakers, the audience are also well composed. I'm sure when I hope you don't mind if I call you the MC. Yeah. When Professor was making introductory remarks, introducing members who are here, I'm sure you will see that this audience is by no means a selection of people who have attained various levels of achievement in their lives. So we expect vibrant discussions, articulate and well-composed deliberation from this conference. The central theme of this conference is whether it is possible and practicable to separate religion from politics. Is politics compatible with Islam, or they are incompatible? Some people believe that the ulama should steer clear from politics. They should simply be onlookers, or what some politicians call, with respect to excellency, what some people call, see, don't look, just to be onlookers without being actively involved in politics. I'm sure from the conversations we'll have today, we'll have a clearer picture of what role do we expect the ulama to play in politics. Traditionally, the ulama are normally being seen to involved in politics in the area of prayers, spiritual guidance, or advocacy for good governance. But the time has come, probably for us, based on what we listen today, whether the ulama should actively participate in politics, not just as advocates of good governance or as prayer warriors. This underscores the fact that the ulama are indeed very central to political dispensations. Let me go back to a little historical issue. In 1962, there were reports that Awolowo visited Sheikh Inyas in Ghana, and then he sent emissaries to Senegal to not convince the Sheikh to join politics, but to seek for his prayers and support. And likewise, there are also reports that in 1964, when the elections were coming in, the politicians used the ulama to promote their candidature. Malam Kano was said to have traveled to Kaulak to see and seek the support of Sheikh Inyas. And when the election campaigns were going on, Malam Kano was also said to have used a photograph of Sheikh Inyas and his own photograph, which are in some ways seeking the consent and support and influence of scholars. So with this, I'm sure by the time we listen to our speakers, we will be able to understand this dilemma, whether religion and politics are separable. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, the chairman of this occasion, Professor Sabo Al-Masud, early representing Professor Alhaji Mahmoud Yakubu, and chairman. Next, we have on the agenda the remarks by the chief host, that is the Vice Chancellor of Bayero University, Kano, Professor Haruna Musa, FSI, ably represented by the University Librarian, Dr. Abiru Lainu Abbas. Thank you.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله. The Executive Governor of Kano State, Alhaji Abba Kabir Yusuf, ably represented by our teacher, Professor Tijani Manania, the former Governor of Jigawa State, Alhaji Sule Lamido, our professors, the chairman of the occasion, Sardonan Kasina, our conference delegate, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. As it has been rightly said by the MC, I am standing on behalf of the Vice Chancellor, who is attending to other issues very pressing. You may recall that he just assumed as the Vice Chancellor of this great university. So it has been very hectic, and that is why he asked me to represent him. Mr. Chairman, sir, before I read out the address of the Vice Chancellor, I must say this, or rather to re-emphasize this, that this conference will not have come at a better time than now. Because if you look at the happenings around Kano, northern Nigeria, and even Nigeria at large, we need intellectual discourse on this topic. For example, if you look at the theme and sub-themes, like Ulama and party politics, Ulama and the management of conflicts, Ulama and interfaith dialogue. This is exactly what we need today in Nigeria. In fact, recent happenings, especially in Kano, for example, for me, it calls for what is called Islamization of politics. We need ulamas to guide our political affairs so that at least in northern Nigeria or in Muslim-dominated state in northern Nigeria. So the themes and sub-themes of the conference are timely, and how I wish the discussions and deliberations from this conference will be effectively disseminated and communicated to our larger society. Thank you so much. Mr. Chairman, sir, permit me to read out the address of the Vice Chancellor. Vice Chancellor started by saying, "It is with immense pleasure and a deep sense of honor that I welcome all participants to the opening ceremony of this important conference, organized by the Faculty of History and Development Studies with the theme Ulama and Politics in Nigeria, Historical Perspectives. The Ulama occupy a position of great influence and respect in our society. They have guided communities with wisdom, taught generations with patience, and spoke truth to power with courage and moral clarity. From the advent of Islam to the present day, the ulama all over the Muslim world, Nigeria inclusive, have constituted a distinct class, different from both the ruling and the mercantile elites, distinguished by their knowledge, piety, and invaluable service to the society. Mr. Chairman, sir, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the ulama are the custodian of learning, entrusted with the interpretation of religious texts and the transmission of knowledge to successive generations. They are guardians of faith and the moral conscience of the community, speaking truth to power and helping to mold our social, religious, and civilizational identities. As a concerned member of society, I strongly believe that the ulama remain one of the strongest pillars of our collective existence. Little can be achieved successfully without their guidance and moral authority. Ladies and gentlemen, beyond knowledge transmission, they have played a central role in the construction and configuration of social and political order, shaping public opinion and influencing communal attitude toward governance and policy. Mr. Chairman, sir, given their enormous social influence, their imperative it is imperative we continue to study the ulama, their history, educational cycles, sermons, intellectual traditions, scholarly contributions, religious authority, political engagement, and social and their complex and delicate interaction with power. The theme of this conference is, therefore, both timely and topical, particularly in the light of the ongoing religious debates that dominate public discourse, shaping national interests and narratives, and permeate our social and media spaces. Mr. Chairman, sir, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I am particularly happy with the caliber and diversity of scholars assembled for this conference. They represent a wide range of disciplines: history, sociology, political science, Islamic studies, Arabic, philosophy, anthropology, international relations, and languages. The selection of the keynote speaker and the lead paper presenters is quite apt and most commendable. They represent the creme de la creme of historical scholarship, seasoned intellectuals whose depth of knowledge and time-tested scholarship will undoubtedly enrich the deliberations of the conference. Ladies and gentlemen, equally noteworthy is the choice of Professor A.M. Yakubu as the chairman of today's occasion. A historian par excellence and a world-class scholar with an impressive record of research and original publications. He is eminently qualified to steer the proceedings toward meaningful and constructive discussions. Honestly speaking, I cannot think of a more befitting person for this role than Professor Yakubu. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, Bayero University Kano has long maintained a proud tradition of promoting research and knowledge production for the benefit of both the academic community and the wider public. This administration, like those before it, strongly encourages department, centers, and the individuals academics to engage in cutting-edge researches, organize conferences, and publish their scholarly output in reputable outlets for the intellectual advancement of Nigeria and humanity at large. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, therefore, when the Faculty of History and the Development Studies conceived the idea of organizing this conference, the university management gave it full moral and institutional support. At this juncture, I wish to heartily commend and congratulate the faculty for their vision, dedication, and academic zeal in bringing together this impressive assembly of scholars to engage in robust and illuminating discussions on these highly significant themes. Finally, I thank you all for honoring our invitation and being part of this historic academic gathering. I wish you fruitful deliberations and a successful conference. In the name of Allah, the most beneficent and the most merciful, I declare this conference open. And thank you and welcome to Bayero University, Kano. And wish all our delegates a journey masses going back to their respective destination. Thank you very much and God bless.
Thank you very much, the Vice Chancellor, Bayero University, Kano, ably represented by the Chief Librarian, Dr. Kabiru Bayero Abbas. A round of applause once again, please. Before we proceed, I would like to recognize in our midst the presence of the Sector Commander, Federal Road Safety Commission, heavily represented, that is Kano Command, represented by CRC Abdullahi Laboran. You are welcome, sir. We have the area, okay, we have made mention of this, the State Commander, National Security and Civil Defense Corps, represented by ACC Kabiru Garba, Area Commander. You are also welcome, sir. We have the DPO, SP Jamilu Bala Jibrin, DPO Region Zaki Division. You are welcome, sir. Next is going to be the address by the keynote speaker, in person of Professor Muhammad Sani Kumar, University of Abuja. I would like to invite him to come over here to give us, okay. Now, I've been informed that there's going to be a citation to be read by Dr. Ismail Suleiman for the keynote speaker.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to beg the permission of the chairman to stand on the existing protocol, because this citation was not originally drafted in the program. But by the way, anyway, I will quickly cite the speaker. Professor Sani